Dear colleagues, can I ask you to please take your seats so that we can start our session? Good afternoon. On behalf of Sheikh Haya, it is my honor to preside the session of our committee, and I would like to start by passing the floor to Madam Rossler, who will make some announcements. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. It's a pleasure to have you here on the podium. I would like just to verify that you have in front of you those texts we announced before closing the morning session. The text on Lahore and the text on the historic center in Uzbekistan, which came out of the working group. I see Azerbaijan nodding, so Madam Chair, this is all okay.
My dear colleagues, as decided this morning, we will now examine the state of conservation of Pirin National Park in Bulgaria. I therefore give the floor to the delegation of Azerbaijan. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and congratulations on assuming the post of the chair. First of all, I would like to thank you for this opportunity to express our position on the item concerning the Pirin National Park World Heritage property. We would like to express our most sincere gratitude for the work done by the World Heritage Center and the IUCN in preparing the draft decision and its supporting documents. We welcomed with satisfaction the fact that the advisory mission that was envisaged in our previous decision has been carried out successfully. We consider that the decision reflects a position which differs from the previous decisions of the committee. However, we do not find some circumstances justifying the current draft of the decision, and the text of the decision, in our view, entails some commitments which are hardly feasible. The state party, Bulgaria, has always strictly conformed to the committee's decision and has not allowed the construction of these key sport facilities within the property. Currently, there is no change of the circumstances leading to adoption of a decision by the committee inconsistent with the already adopted ones. Following the decision from the 40th session of the committee, a screening procedure of the new MP has been performed and resulted in decision that a full strategic environmental assessment is not needed. This decision is currently subject to judicial review, and the result of the procedure depends on the outcomes of the court case. In this line, we do not find as appropriate that the committee would comment and make references to court decisions which are even not final and not yet in force. We believe that the property is not threatened by activities of the state party, and we hereby request the decision on this draft decision to be open. With this in mind, my delegation proposed some amendments to the draft decision, and I'm very pleased to say that these draft amendments were negotiated and agreed with the IUCN. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Excellency. I would now invite IUCN to respond to this comment. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. IUCN and the World Heritage Centre have had a meeting with the State Party of Bulgaria earlier this week. During this meeting, the State Party provided further information and clarification regarding the current situation of ski facilities in the buffer zone of the property and the interventions planned to address overcrowding. Assurances were provided that such interventions were of a limited nature aimed at upgrading existing infrastructure to better service demand. IUCN welcomes the clarifications provided by the State Party and the assurances given that a strategic environmental assessment will be undertaken at the stage of spatial development planning. In that regard, IUCN notes the amendments proposed to the draft decision, in particular the request in paragraph 5 for the State Party to ensure that maintenance, upgrades or increases in capacity of ski infrastructure in the buffer zone will not impact on the outstanding universal value of the property. IUCN would like to bring to the committee's attention that the sub-paragraphs under paragraph 6 as amended include an important but subtle distinction between the current management plan as amended and the proposed new plan. IUCN consider that both these plans need to be guided by strategic planning and adequate environmental impact assessment through the established procedures as advised by the State Party of Bulgaria. The language under paragraph 6 therefore accommodates this distinction. In the view of IUCN and the World Heritage Centre, the new management plan is the appropriate place to outline the long-term vision for the property, clear prescriptions on the limitations and conditions under which developments may be allowed in the buffer zone, and the necessary safeguards to protect OUV. Madam Chair, as noted in the proposed amendments to the draft decision, the December 2017 changes to the current management plan now do not prohibit the construction of water catchment facilities within the property. In this regard, IUCN welcomes again the assurances provided by the State Party during our meeting here in Bahrain that such facilities only concern the provision of drinking water. However, as these could be located within the property, IUCN recommends that the committee requests the State Party to provide further precision regarding their potential extent, location and impacts. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for your report. I open now the floor for comments from delegations, and I can see that Bosnia has requested the floor, so you have the floor, Bosnia. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for the opportunity to express the position of Bosnia and Herzegovina of the item concerning Pirin National Park World Heritage Property. We would like to express our support to the amendments of draft decision proposed by Azerbaijan and also co-sponsored by us. It appears that the draft decision contains some inconsistencies with previous decision adopted. The decision further imposes of the State Party commitments which are currently subject to judicial review. In this respect, we don't find it appropriate the decision to comment and to refer to court rulings which are not final and not in force. We also think that there is no change in the circumstances and, respectively, there are no grounds for examination of the property every year. Moreover, the court proceedings are still pending. It is fully enough the State Party to provide a progress report to the World Heritage Centre with adapted information of the results from the court proceedings as proposed in the amendments. Hereby, we request the decision to be amended. Thank you.
As I thank you for your comments, I would like to pass the floor to the distinguished delegate of Indonesia. Please have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Indonesia would like to comment on the work that has been taken by the advisory bodies and note the recommendations conveyed to the State Party Bulgaria. We would also like to commend the efforts taken by the State Party to conserve the OUV of Pirin National Park. We should keep in mind, however, that in addition to the obligation of the State Party to conserve the OUV, there are certain development activities on the side that is unavoidable. Taking this into account, we are of the view that it is acceptable for the State Party to replace and increase the capacity of skiing infrastructure. This measure is necessary in order to keep the flow of tourists on the site under control, which in the end will have positive impact on the OUV of the property. We would also encourage the State Party to continue working together with the advisory bodies and expedite the finalization of new management plan for the property that includes the strategic environmental assessment in order for both sides to have a clear guidance in conserving the property. I thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to pass the floor to the distinguished representative of China. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In our opinion, the original draft decision reflects a position which differs from the previous decision of the World Heritage Committee, in particular decision 36,7b.18 from the 36th session in St. Petersburg, and several decisions from the following session, which allow further development of the buffer zone. As far as we are informed, the State Party of Bulgaria has always strictly followed the decisions of the committee. We consider that there is no change in the circumstances at the field leading to the adoption of the new decision, not corresponding to the already adopted position of the committee regarding the property and the buffer zone. Therefore, China fully supports and co-signed the amendments submitted by Azerbaijan and other state parties. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Kuwait, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Also, the delegation of Kuwait supported the submission draft amendment by Azerbaijan and other parties for a simple reason. We believe the report is mainly based on the decisions that has not been taken yet, which is the court decision, which is a focal point of the issue. So we think until that issue resolved, we accept or we support the Azerbaijan amendment, and we also appreciate the advisory board for their continuous dialogue and communication with the state party. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you so much. I would now pass the floor to Hungary. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The World Heritage Committee on its 36th session took note of the conclusion of the World Heritage Center and IUCN monitoring mission back in 2011 that the capacity upgrades of ski facilities undertaken in the buffer zone of the Pirin National Park did not appear to have negatively impacted the outstanding universal value of the property. On the other hand, the committee, at its same decision, requested the state party to ensure developments in the buffer zone were assessed to make sure that they do not create negative impacts on the property. In the view of the Hungarian delegation, these two requirements of the 2011 committee decision are sufficiently met by the amended and consolidated draft decision. Hungary also would like to underline that the possible impacts of any infrastructure development project within the World Heritage property should be evaluated by a detailed environmental impact assessment, as well as by appropriate assessment procedures as requested by Article 6 of the Habitats Directive of the European Union, taking into account the fact that the entire World Heritage property, including its buffer zone, is part of the Natura 2000 ecological network of the European Union, and also that the outstanding universal value of the property largely overlaps with natural processes, ecosystems, habitats and species protected by the Habitats and Birds Directive. Furthermore, we strongly encourage the state party to implement these legal procedures through open and independently mediated communication process in which all the stakeholders, governmental, non-governmental organizations and local communities of the state party are involved. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I would now ask for the comments of Australia. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Australia acknowledges the work of Azerbaijan to develop amendments to the draft decision, and we would like to foreshadow our intention to propose some additional minor amendments with the intent of clarifying the amendments to the draft decision proposed by Azerbaijan.
Thank you very much. I pass the floor to the delegation of Burkina Faso. Please, you have the floor.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Considérant le rapport sur l'état de conservation du parc national de Pirin en Bulgarie, site inscrit sur la liste du patrimoine mondial en 1983, suivant les critères 7, 8 et 9, ma délégation voudrait remercier le Centre du patrimoine et les organisations consultatives pour le travail de suivi qui a été réalisé. Des recommandations sont proposées dans le rapport pour conserver la valeur universelle exceptionnelle du bien et nous encourageons l'État partie à poursuivre leur mise en œuvre avec le Centre du patrimoine et l'IUCN. Il est notamment demandé à l'État partie de fournir une étude environnementale sociale complète du nouveau plan de gestion du bien qui intégrera une évaluation spécifique des impacts potentiels sur la valeur universelle exceptionnelle du bien, notamment les impacts liés aux éventuels aménagements et développements envisagés sur le territoire du bien et de sa zone tampon. Pour mener à bien ces études, afin d'assurer une meilleure conservation de la vue du bien, il serait nécessaire pour l'État partie de disposer des moyens et des temps nécessaires pour la conduite de ces études. De ce fait, et en lien avec le projet de décision, le Burkina Faso voudrait qu'un temps raisonnable soit accordé à l'État partie de Bulgarie, notamment une année supplémentaire, soit d'ici le 1er février 2020, pour soumettre un rapport actualisé sur l'état de conservation du bien pour examen par le Comité du patrimoine mondial à sa 44e session en 2020. Notre pays soutient de ce fait l'amendement porté par le projet de décision par le Shakhrisyabz et les autres pays, les États partis. Je vous remercie.
Merci beaucoup. I would like now to pass the floor to the delegation of Zimbabwe. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to say that Zimbabwe is one of the co-sponsors of this draft resolution introduced by Azerbaijan, and we would like to commend the State Party and IUCN for the dialogue and constructive dialogue that they have had in order to align the new draft decision with the recommendations of the 36th session of the committee, as well as not to preempt the administrative court judgment, which is still to be made. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would like to pass the floor to the delegation of Cuba, please.
Gracias, señora presidenta. Cuba agradece la información aportada acá posterior a ese proyecto de decisión. Consideramos que es muy importante tanto los criterios vertidos en esa comunicación entre el órgano consultivo y el Estado parte, y en virtud de esa actualización estamos apoyando las modificaciones del proyecto de decisión que básicamente lo que permiten es estar en correspondencia con la situación actual y además darle más tiempo al Estado parte para el cumplimiento de lo que se le solicita. Gracias.
Muchas gracias. I would like now to pass the floor to Angola. Por favor, Angola, tenha a palavra.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. L'Angola a bien pris note du dialogue qui a été établi entre les organisations consultatives et l'État parti. Et nous avons également remarqué qu'il y a certains blocages au niveau du pays pour la prise de certaines décisions qui dépendent de la justice. Et nous savons parfois c'est des procédures qui prennent du temps. Donc nous aimerions que le temps soit accordé à l'État parti pour qu'il débloque cette situation afin d'être en mesure de pouvoir répondre aux exigences et aux recommandations faites par les organisations consultatives. Donc nous sommes d'accord d'appuyer donc les amendements qui ont été proposés par l'Azerbaïdjan. Je vous remercie.
Muito obrigada. I pass the floor now to this delegation of Uganda. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Uganda urges the State Party of Bulgaria to balance any proposals of skiing developments with the OUVs of this heritage property and to undertake strategic environment assessment of the draft management plan with respect to the original draft decision. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have now as the last speaker the delegation of Tunisia. Thank you.
Merci Madame la Présidente. La Tunisie, qui fait partie du groupe de pays qui ont proposé cet amendement, voudrait souligner d'abord avec une grande satisfaction le dialogue qui a été entrepris entre l'État partie et les structures consultatives. Et on a vu que cela a déjà abouti à des résultats significatifs. Nous encourageons leur continuation. Mais également, nous devons être sensibles et responsables à l'effet de nos décisions et notamment l'applicabilité de nos décisions. À partir du moment où il y a dans l'État partie une procédure en cours, je crois que nous devons être attentifs à cet élément pour assurer à l'arrivée une cohérence entre nos décisions et celles qui seront prises de manière souveraine dans l'État partie. C'est pour cela que nous souhaitons que cet amendement soit adopté.
Thank you very much. I would now pass the floor to our rapporteur, since we have one proposal of a minor amendment by the delegation of Australia. So you could please take the floor. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So, as it was noted, we had received a set of amendments that you can see on the screen, submitted by Azerbaijan, Cuba, Burkina Faso, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Zimbabwe, China, Tanzania, Brazil, Tunisia, Kuwait, and Angola. As it was noted during the discussion, this is a text that has been negotiated with IUCN, who themselves has negotiated with the State Party and with the World Heritage Center. I believe you have all received these amendments in advance, but we have heard during the discussion that the delegation of Australia might make some small amendments to these proposed amendments. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
As I believe all the other delegations are in agreement with the text negotiated, maybe I consult you, maybe Australia could just introduce the proposal of amendment they have to make, and the other countries would kindly say whether they are in agreement with it or not. Thank you. Australia, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So our first proposed amendment is to clarify the fact that there are actually two court decisions, one which applies to the current management plan and one which applies to the new management plan. And it's our understanding that the court decision regarding the new management plan for the property is not yet available. So our suggestion is for 6A to add the clause at the end. So it currently reads, implement the Supreme Administrative Court's final decision regarding the SEA procedure for the new management plan of the property when it becomes available. And then for 6B, we propose ensure that an SEA will be undertaken for the spatial planning based on the December 2017 amendments to the current management plan as a matter of priority. And then the rest of the of 6B stands.
Read it slowly again so I can get it. Just need to say it slowly again.
Okay, so I'll repeat that. So 6B starts, ensure that an SEA will be undertaken for the spatial planning based on the December 2017 amendments to the current management plan as a matter of priority. Stop. As a matter of priority. Yes, and then the rest of it. Pardon? And then delete upon the spatial development planning based on the December 2017 amendments, because that's been covered in the earlier clause. So I'll just repeat it, that 6B reads, ensure that an SEA will be undertaken for the spatial planning based on the December 2017 amendments to the current management plan as a matter of priority. And then this SEA will include. And then delete, so will include a specific assessment of potential impacts on the Is that right? That's correct. Okay, so I think that's correct. And now 6D starts, once the results of the decision of the Supreme Administrative Court concerning the SEA for the new management plan become available. And then the rest stands.
Thank you. Are there any objections to the amendments proposed by Australia? Azerbaijan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We thank the delegation of Australia for this amendment, and we have no objection. Thank you.
Uganda, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me also add my voice to Azerbaijan to thank the delegation of Australia. This amendment, as proposed by Australia, is very much in line with the contribution we earlier made. So we support in total. I thank you.
Since there are no more comments, I think we can and we shall declare draft decision 42, 7B.72 adopt and amended and adopted. It is adopted. Thank you. I would like now to pass the floor to the observer who has requested. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for
I'm so
us
sorry. Sorry, I made a mistake by inexperience. I understand the state party would like to take the floor. I'm sorry, I haven't seen this before. Thank you so much, and I ask your understanding to this fact. Thank you.
Thank you. Dear Madam Chair, dear members of the World Heritage Committee, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Always, we take this opportunity to express our appreciation to the World Heritage Center and IUCN, thank you, for their support in the protection and sustainable development of the World Heritage sites in Bulgaria. On behalf of Bulgarian government and on behalf of myself, I would like to express satisfaction from the adopted decision and the consensus achieved. This would help to find the way out of the issue accumulated for years. We need balance between the protection of the outstanding universal value of Pirin National Park and the sustainable development for the existing for decades ski zone. The state party has always given priority to the protection of the OUV, of the Bulgarian World Heritage properties, and to all ecological challenges. This position will remain unchanged and consistent in the future. We would like to express gratitude to all state parties which give us their support for this decision, despite of today's cyber attack. In conclusion, we would like to assure you that all the actions of the Bulgarian government will continue to be focused on the overall protection of Pirin World Heritage. We would like to wish success to this forum and also invite all of you to Pirin National Park. Thus, you will have the opportunity to witness the unique nature of the property and visit the ski zone. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for your intervention. I would now like to pass the floor to the observer who has requested it. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for giving us the floor. I was lucky to go to Pirin when I was only 7 years old, and nowadays I take my son. Pirin is home of centuries-old forest under timeless limestone peaks. The Bajkuševa Mura, a 13th centuries-old Bosnian pine tree, is the oldest on the Balkan Peninsula. You wonder what stories it could tell you for the past millennium. Pirin is part of the national anthem, and the name is chanted in hundreds of traditional songs. The Pirin case is simple. It all comes down to clear-cutting century-old forests to build ski runs. In the year 2000, NGOs warned about upcoming construction of a ski zone. 10 years later, the World Heritage Committee excluded 2 ski zones from the property because, I quote, "The property has been repeatedly and significantly impacted by the development of ski facilities and ski runs. Whoever doesn't learn from history is meant to repeat it." All this is not in support of the local people. The current ski zone in Bansku town has not prevented population reduction, decrease of property value, seasonal employment, and continuous state subsidizing. The draft management plan and the amendments to the current plan of Pirin stirred an unprecedented reaction. This revised draft decision will fail the thousands of people from 50 cities in Bulgaria and abroad who have been protesting in the streets to save Pirin in freezing temperatures this winter. The draft decision is now revised beyond recognition. If we fail to save Pirin with its protection on national, European and global level, how can we succeed anywhere else? Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We are now moving to the discussion of the archaeological site of Carthage, and I would like to pass the floor to Mrs. Nada Al-Hassam. I understand you have the floor now. Please make your presentation.
Merci Madame la Présidente. Excusez-nous de ce retard dans la transition. Je vous présente donc le site archéologique de Carthage en Tunisie, un autre merveilleux site. Le rapport sur l'état de conservation du site archéologique de Carthage se trouve dans le document 7B AD, à la page 59 en anglais et 59 aussi en français. Le site archéologique de Carthage fait face à plusieurs défis relatifs aux questions foncières, de déclassement, reclassement de certaines zones archéologiques au sein du bien et à l'absence de limites et de zones tampons. Le plan de gestion du site, que la Tunisie appelle le plan de protection et de mise en valeur du bien, tarde à être adopté. Le Centre du patrimoine mondial a reçu des informations récentes après la publication du rapport que vous avez reçu, faisant état d'atteinte à l'intégrité du bien du fait de travaux de construction d'un bâtiment au sein du site archéologique, à proximité directe du port punique. Nous avons également été informés de la vente de terrains dans la zone classée sur lesquels des autorisations de construction seraient accordées l'année prochaine. Un dialogue a été aussitôt établi avec l'État partie. Par conséquent, Monsieur le ministre de la Culture de Tunisie a informé le Centre du patrimoine mondial de la décision du gouvernement d'arrêter tout de suite les travaux de construction en cours. Des discussions au niveau national sont aussi en cours en vue de démanteler cette construction. En outre, nous avons été informés hier que le ministre de la Culture a pris des dispositions pour que le ministère concerné par les ventes de terrain dans la zone classée retire immédiatement des avis de vente. De belles nouvelles. En outre, nous avons été informés, par conséquent, nous souhaiterions saluer vivement la réactivité de la Tunisie par rapport à ces développements et les actions entreprises par Monsieur l'ambassadeur de Tunisie auprès de son gouvernement. Et nous les invitons à mettre en œuvre les décisions annoncées par le ministre de la Culture, à savoir le gel de la construction et son démantèlement, ainsi que l'interdiction de vente de terrains classés. Ce sera indispensable pour le respect de l'intégrité du bien. Ces événements récents démontrent l'urgence d'adopter des limites claires pour Carthage et sa zone tampon, ainsi que le plan de gestion accompagné de réglementations nationales qui éviterait de gérer des crises et qui privilégierait quelque chose comme ça, une gestion durable de Carthage, site archéologique emblématique de l'Afrique du Nord, ayant été jadis au cœur d'une des campagnes internationales de l'UNESCO comme on n'en fait plus, campagne qui en avait révélé la richesse et la valeur universelle exceptionnelle. Le projet de décision vous est soumis à la page 60 en anglais et en français. Madame la Présidente, l'ICOMOS souhaiterait prendre la parole avec votre permission. Merci.
Merci. Merci infiniment. I would like now to know whether there are any comments on the side of the delegations about the presentation just made and the appreciation of this topic.
Merci Madame la Présidente. Le site archéologique de Carthage est constitué de plusieurs ensembles qui sont insérés dans le tissu urbain de la ville. Les progrès réalisés par les autorités pour le contrôle du foncier dans la zone archéologique devraient être confortés par l'adoption et l'application du plan de protection et de mise en valeur du bien. Cet outil réglementaire qui permet de protéger le site vise à assurer une meilleure gestion du développement foncier et d'infrastructures dans le bien. Il doit intégrer également la gestion globale du site en termes de conservation et de maintenance afin que les conditions d'intégrité du bien continuent d'être respectées. Par ailleurs, la structure de la gestion du bien devrait clarifier les fonctions, les attributions et les mécanismes de coopération entre les différents acteurs de la conservation, de la mise en valeur et de l'aménagement du bien qui est indissociable de son environnement urbain. L'environnement du bien est vulnérable. Aussi, il est essentiel d'établir les critères de définition de la zone tampon et les réglementations en mesures existantes qui la régissent. L'ICOMOS a pris note des projets d'aménager et de mettre en valeur deux sites remarquables, le cirque romain et le complexe hydraulique de la Malga. Il considère qu'ils devraient faire l'objet d'études d'impact avant que des décisions définitives soient prises pour leur mise en œuvre. Merci, Madame.
Merci. Thank you. I would like now to pass the floor to the delegation of China, who has some comments to make. Thank you, China.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before we start to examine the draft decision, we would like to say that we acknowledge with satisfaction the efforts undertaken by the State Party with the aim to preserve the archaeological site of Carthage. We also appreciate the efforts of the Tunisian authorities as shown in the report presented by the Tunisian government to the World Heritage Center. Therefore, we would like to encourage the State Party to continue its efforts in the field of heritage protection related to the issue of land control and the adoption of an archaeological strategy. With your permission, Madam Chairperson, we would like to invite the delegate of the concerned State Party, Tunisia, to provide more detailed information. Thank you, Madam Chairperson.
Thank you very much, distinguished delegate of Tunisia. Yeah? I'm sorry, maybe before Tunisia speaks, we would like to hear the delegate of Uganda. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, the delegation of Uganda congratulates the State Party for the efforts already undertaken in the field of land control of the area located in the classified zone and encourages it to continue with the good work so far registered. My delegation will support the amendments as proposed by China. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would pass the floor now to the distinguished delegate of Spain. You have the floor.
Muchas gracias, señora presidenta. Yo querría también escuchar las explicaciones por parte de la delegación de Túnez respecto a esos esfuerzos que están llevando a cabo, teniendo en cuenta todos los desafíos a los que se está enfrentando la propiedad y cómo a través de todos los años ha sido una constante preocupación por parte de su gobierno la protección de este bien. Por lo tanto, nosotros lo que querríamos es que nos explicara en más detalle cuáles son todas las medidas que vamos a pedir al Estado miembro en tanto a ese plan de protección y de puesta al valor del bien inscrito. Muchísimas gracias.
Muchísimas gracias. I would like now to pass the floor to the distinguished delegate of Indonesia. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with the view of China and the other delegates, and I encourage the State Party to give more information on the efforts and the situation that have been taken in the sites. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Zimbabwe, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Zimbabwe commends Tunisia for the recovery of cultural material that was stolen from the site museum of Carthage. We also commend the State Party for carrying out the recommendations of the 2014 Commission, which relate to the conservation, protection, and management of the property. We also, however, continue to encourage the State Party to continue dialogue with the Center going forward. However, we support the amendments as proposed. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I pass the floor now to the distinguished delegate of Azerbaijan. Please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Azerbaijan also joins the previous speakers in commending the State Party's efforts for land control, the area located in the classified zone, and also we would like to thank the State Party for its efforts for the protection of these sites and taking into account the recommendation of the advisory bodies. We would like to join also to add our voice in supporting the amendments proposed by China. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry. Cuba? I would now pass the floor to the distinguished delegate of Kuwait, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. State of Kuwait also thanks and appreciated everyone involved in preserving the site and the continuation of maintaining its integrity. And also we thank the state party for maintaining and working hard with especially with the local and the region challenges they're facing. So we support the China's amendment, and we thanks again everyone involved in this project.
Thank you very much. I would now pass the floor to the distinguished delegate of Tunisia for his comments. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la Présidente. Je suis extrêmement heureux d'avoir l'occasion d'intervenir sur un point aussi interpellant pour l'ambassadeur de Tunisie que je suis, mais également pour donner une occasion unique qui s'offre à un État membre du Comité du patrimoine de vérifier que quand il est d'un côté du bord ou de l'autre, sa propre théorie et sa propre lecture restent dans la même ligne et la même rectitude. Carthage avait dit, Madame la responsable du monde arabe du centre du patrimoine, est un site emblématique pour l'Afrique du Nord, absolument. Mais également, nous regardons Carthage comme un site emblématique pour la Convention de 1972 et du système qu'elle a induit, Carthage ayant été l'un des premiers sites classés dans la mise en œuvre de cette convention. Et la Tunisie est très heureuse de l'abriter. Nous sommes absolument conscients des situations diverses par lesquelles est passé ce site au travers d'une évolution sociale, sociologique, démographique et même politique de la Tunisie. Et même politique, je venais de dire. En mars 2011, c'est-à-dire 2 mois après la Révolution, le gouvernement de mon pays est revenu et a annulé les textes juridiques et les décrets qui avaient déclassé dans un contexte politique qui ne vous échappe pas au profit d'une prédation immobilière qui sévissait dans mon pays à l'époque. Et je suis très heureux que la nouvelle Tunisie issue de cet élément n'a fait que corroborer cela et Madame Nadal Hassan venait de souligner que la session étant en cours ici même à Manama et des décisions positives ont été prises. Je ne vais pas les sérier, je voudrais tout simplement appuyer cet élément. Des questions m'ont été adressées et je les trouve légitimes et je les approuve même. En ce sens qu'il me plaît de rappeler qu'en janvier 2018, le Comité national du patrimoine a adopté la proposition de révision de délimitation du site. Nous sommes en train de travailler sur sa mise en vigueur par un décret qui ne saurait tarder. Cet élément juridique mis en place, cela nous permettra de mettre en place le plan de protection évoqué. Nous sommes très heureux d'être tout à fait en conformité et prêts à mettre en œuvre toutes les dispositions arrivant à la fin de la décision proposée. Et donc nous sommes extrêmement ouverts et nous sommes aussi soucieux que le reste de la communauté internationale de maintenir l'exemplarité de ce site et l'exemplarité de sa gestion.
Thank you very much. As I understand, there are no objections to the amendments proposed. I would now invite you to adopt the draft decision 42.7b.60 concerning this property. But before doing so, I would like to pass the floor to the rapporteur and ask her if she has received any further amendments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. We have received one small amendment from Azerbaijan, China, and Cuba, and during the discussion we have heard support for these from Uganda, Zimbabwe, and Kuwait. And you can now see the 2 small amendments on the screen. They concern paragraph 5, which has the last part deleted, and paragraph 6, which is slightly redrafted. Thank you very much.
Is there any other comment or objection to this small amendment proposed? I see none. I therefore declare draft decision 42 COM 7B 60 adopted as amended. Thank you very much. I would invite now Mrs. Nada Al-Hassam to read the list of the cultural properties inscribed on the World Heritage List located in the Arab states region for which the reports are proposed for adoption without discussion. Ms. Nada, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Madame Chair. Les biens donc, qui sont soumis à votre approbation sans discussion sont Memphis et sa nécropole, les zones des pyramides de Gizeh à Dachour en Égypte, la citadelle d'Erbil en Irak, Rasas Castrum Mefa en Jordanie, Byblos au Liban, le fort de Bahla à Oman, ville historique de Jeddah, la porte de la Mecque en Arabie Saoudite, et Jebel Barkal et les sites de la région napatéenne au Soudan. Merci, Madame.
Thank you very much. If there is no objection from the committee on this state of conservation report, I declare the decisions read out, adopted. I would now like to ask whether any observer delegation would like to express themselves about one of the properties for which we have adopted the decision without discussion. I see no comments, so I thank you very much, and let's proceed. My dear colleagues, as you know, it was decided to establish a drafting group on the draft decision of the Historic Center of Shakhrisyabz in Uzbekistan. I understood that the group has finished with its work, and I therefore would like to give the floor to the representative of Brazil in his capacity as chairperson of the group to present to the committee the outcomes of the discussions. Brazil, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. The drafting group met 2 days ago, and we had discussions for about an hour or so on a common text, taking into consideration the amendments that were presented by a number of countries and the concerns that were raised during the debate. After consultations during the meeting and after bilaterally during the committee session yesterday, we managed to come up with an agreed text that took into consideration all those matters. In the consultations, the concerns of ICOMOS, the Secretariat, the State Party, and all those countries that had raised their flags to join the working group, they were all taken into consideration. Madam Chair, this is a result of a consensus text. I believe that no one is happy with the final text because everyone had to give in their position. So if no, with the exception of myself, I'm very happy with the outcome. If no one is happy, it means that they had to give in. And in the spirit of compromise, we came up with the final consensus text. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, and my congratulations for the work done. And I would also like to thank all the other delegates that joined you in this effort of compromise in reaching a solution, a satisfactory and, I hope, consensual solution. However, I can see that the distinguished delegate of Afghanistan would have Azerbaijan, I'm sorry. Please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just would like to express our thanks and commend the efforts of your delegation in chairing this very, I would say, challenging task to come up with all concerns and accommodate those different positions in one consensual text. And I would like also to thank the flexibility shown by all stakeholders taking part in this drafting exercise. Of course, as delegate of Brazil said, this is a consensual decision, but I believe that it reflects the spirit of our discussions here, so we fully support this draft decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I pass the floor now to the delegation of China. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. China would like to join colleagues from Azerbaijan to express its thanks to the delegation of Brazil in coordinating this drafting group, and China fully supports this outcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I would now pass the floor to the distinguished delegate of Hungary, please.
Many thanks, dear Chairperson. Hungary warmly greets and congratulate to the drafting group for this compromised drafting, because we see the dangerous situation which evolved from the changing in the World Heritage Sites in Uzbekistan. So there were two choices before us, in front of us. First, the total destruction of the site and the final loss of a World Heritage Site. And the other one is that somehow, partly or in some details, it could be preserved. And in this draft decision, I can see the compromise and the possibility that these World Heritage Sites can be solved, can be preserved. And it is why Hungary warmly greets this proposal. Thank you.
Bahrain. Thank you very much. I would like to pass the floor to the delegation of Bahrain.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. We would also like to thank and commend the efforts of the State Party of Brazil and the drafting group from Azerbaijan, Spain, Norway, China, and Indonesia for their time and effort to achieve this not so easy achievement. And we would agree with the draft decision as presented. Thank you.
I would pass the floor now to the distinguished delegate of Tunisia. However, on behalf of saving time for us to advance in our very heavy agenda, I would ask the delegates to take the floor only if they are against or if they do not agree. If there is consensus, I am very grateful for your support in this regard. Thank you. Thank you very much. With your cooperation, values cooperation, I take it that this decision is Australia?
I am sorry to intervene, Chair, but I do think that it would be helpful for all of us here gathered in plenary if we did at least have the opportunity to see the final decision on the screen.
I would pass the floor to the rapporteur so that she can show the text. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So as you can see the decision on the screen, and as it has been noted during the discussions, this is the outcome of the drafting group of committee members who has met over the past few days. I trust you all had the opportunity to see these amendments. They are quite heavy and complex, so I will not proceed to read them out. However, I would just wish to note that, in fact, with these amendments, the Historic Center of Shakhrisyabz would be retained in the list of World Heritage in danger. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
I take it that this decision is the subject of consensus. Therefore, I trust that you all agree with this proposal. And being so, we adopt it as a whole. Thank you very much for your cooperation. My dear colleagues, we are now moving to the analysis of the fort of Shalimar Gardens in Lahore, and I would like at this point to pass the floor to Madam Rossler for some comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. The outcome of the working group was distributed on the blue paper, so the one on the blue paper is the last version. Thank you very much.
As you know, it was decided to establish a drafting group on the draft decision of the fort of Shalimar Gardens in Lahore, Pakistan. I understood that the group has finished with its work, and I therefore would like to give the floor to the representative of Spain, in her capacity as chairperson of the group, to present to the committee the outcomes of the discussions. Spain, please, you have the floor. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, señora presidenta, y muchas gracias también al Centro por aclarar el documento en el que se refleja el consenso al que llegamos los representantes de los miembros que participamos para llegar a un compromiso también en una decisión intentando mantener la coherencia respecto a decisiones anteriores y respecto a las recomendaciones a futuro para el Estado parte. En este sentido, quiero también reiterar el agradecimiento a todos aquellos que participaron en el grupo de redacción y, tal y como se ha señalado, el trabajo es un trabajo conjunto de todos los miembros que han participado, y el objetivo común es mantener la protección del sitio, buscar instar al Estado a que adopte todas las medidas de mitigación posible y a que nos informe de las recomendaciones que le pedimos en la próxima sesión de este comité. Y con mi agradecimiento también a la señora vicepresidenta y presidenta en funciones y a Brasil, les insto también a que por favor pongan en pantalla el texto para que quede claro cuál ha sido el resultado final de nuestros trabajos.
Muchísimas gracias, distinta delegada de España, por el trabajo. Thank you very much for the marvelous work done. I would like to congratulate you also, all the other countries that joined you in this effort. I would now open the floor to comments. I understand that the delegate of Azerbaijan has a comment. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Similarly, we would like to thank and commend the efforts of the delegation of Spain in leading us in this drafting exercise. We would like to thank also other members of this drafting group for their flexibility and for the spirit of cooperation and this constructive dialogue that we had yesterday. And we achieved the commonly agreed language which was acceptable for all of us. So we would like to thank all of them for these efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. Since there are no more comments, I take it that this decision is the subject of a consensus. Therefore, I trust that you all agree with this proposal. Since there are no objections, I declare draft decision 42 COM 7B 14 adopted as amended. I'm sorry, before that I can see that, no, okay. So I consider decision 42 COM 7B 14 adopted as amended. Thank you very much. My dear colleagues, we now move to the analysis of item 62 of our agenda, Trang An Landscape Complex in Vietnam. I invite now Mrs. Nao Hayashi of the Asia-Pacific Unit of the World Heritage Center to present the reports on the state of conservation of the mixed properties located in the Asia-Pacific region and opened for discussion. You have the floor, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. The summary of conservation issues for this property is available in Working Document 42.7b on pages 119 to 121 of the English version and pages 122 to 125 of the French version. In 2017, the State Party of Vietnam revised the management plan established for the property in 2015, focusing on archaeological heritage and vegetation, and elaborated the action plans for their actual implementation. Meanwhile, the number of visitors was reported to have increased by 11% between 2015 and 2016. The estimate of 2 million visitors by 2020 therefore had to be substantially revised to 3.5 million. Actions concerning archaeological heritage management are consistent with the objectives laid out in the revised management plan and include protection of prehistoric archaeological sites, research, conservation, capacity building, and training. An ad hoc management and scientific advisory committee on archaeological heritage management was formally established. With regard to the governance, importantly, the Properties Management Board was transferred to the newly established Provincial Department of Tourism, which supervises and controls all activities on the site. In March 2018, national media reported on the illegal construction of a 1 kilometer-long concrete walkway at Kaiha Mountain within the property, and in May 2018, the State Party provided further information on the construction and the measures taken to dismantle it. The dismantling of the structure started on 30 March 2018, and it's reported to be completed now. The committee may wish to commend the State Party of Vietnam for its extensive efforts in further developing management tools as requested by its previous decisions, In particular, the drawing up of the 2 action plans with active involvement of a number of stakeholders and technical inputs, aiming at the improvement of vegetation management and archaeological heritage preservation. The challenges remain with the issue of governance, given a variety of pressures stemming from a high number of vegetation, which would go beyond initial expectations. In this regard, scientific studies to enable a better understanding of its impacts on the property's outstanding universal value should apply to solid criteria, methodological approaches, and measurements of impact beyond visual observations and visitor feedback, both on cultural and natural components of the property. The World Heritage Center, IUCN, and ICOMOS consider it essential to ensure an integrated approach to tourism development, heritage preservation, and conservation of natural assets through enhanced governance. In particular, the establishment of an appropriate consultation mechanism within the management board and among all stakeholders of the property is recommended to address various issues in considering multiple needs for sound preservation and promotion of the property. A clearer protocol concerning any new and major developments would lead to proactive approach in the regulation and control of tourism developments. And a wider understanding of heritage values by all stakeholders seems key to the successful management of this beautiful property in an evolving context. Madam Chairperson, distinguished committee members, considering that 4 years have passed after the inscription, it is recommended for the committee's high consideration to suggest a reactive monitoring mission led by the UNESCO World Heritage Center, IUCN, and ICOMOS, which could be highly beneficial under current circumstances, to assess its current state of conservation and to engage in the collaboration with various stakeholders so that the state party be accompanied in its continued efforts to refining the strategies for governance, management, and decision-making, but also for increasing awareness on heritage values. Our hope is that this collaboration with State Party of Vietnam could lead to a good practice demonstrating how to create a subtle balance between socially and economically sustainable development and conservation imperative. The draft decision 42-7B60 can be found on pages 121 to 123 of the English version and the page 125 to 27 of the French language version of the working document. Madam Chairperson, with your kind permission, IUCN and ICOMOS also will be invited to provide further comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. IUCN recalls the management planning workshop that took place at the property in September 2015 with the participation of ICOMOS and IUCN and acknowledges the States Party's continued efforts to refine management of the property. However, IUCN notes with significant concern the sharply increased visitor numbers and substantially revised future estimates. These underline the pressing need for adequate management capacity and strict enforcement of visitor regulations. The illegal construction of a concrete walkway inside the property emphasizes IUCN's concern, noted in our 2014 evaluation report, that the greatest threat to the nominated property is from inadequately planned and managed tourism, along with its associated infrastructure support and service provision developments. While the walkway has since been dismantled, as confirmed by the State Party in a meeting with the World Heritage Center and the advisory bodies here in Bahrain, this case clearly highlights the need for stronger regulation and enhanced tourism management. The State Party's report notes a number of other planned developments, such as the visitor center at Tamcock Wharf, private tourism facilities, a car park, and a small temple. A clear process needs to be elaborated for environmental and heritage impact assessments to be carried out prior to any developments within the property and its buffer zone, in order to ascertain that these will not have a negative impact on outstanding universal value. In light of these concerns, it is recommended that the committee request the state party to invite a joint World Heritage Center ICOMOS IUCN reactive monitoring mission to the property in order to assess its current state of conservation and to provide further technical advice to support current management efforts in addressing sharply increasing vegetation at this small and vulnerable property. Madam Chair, ICOMOS would also like to make a few brief comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. ICOMOS is also concerned that the outstanding universal value of the property is threatened by an apparent desire to accommodate burgeoning visitation rather than enhancing understanding of impacts, necessary limitations on carrying capacity, or presentation of the values that underpin the inscription of this property. The construction of a replica movie set of the movie King Kong Skull Island to promote the property, for example, firstly serves to exacerbate this threat, but also obstructs awareness of the real cultural and natural significance of the property and has adverse impacts on its authenticity. The archaeological resources of the property warrant greater focus, particularly through staff training and capacity building, so that resources are available for their long-term successful conservation and management. A substantive change in trajectory is imperative to prevent loss of outstanding universal value. The proposed reactive monitoring mission would provide an opportunity for much-needed constructive input to the conservation and management of the property at this critical time, and should occur in a time frame which enables collaborative input to the revision to the plan of management. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. After the reports of our advisory bodies, I would like to know if there are any comments on the side of the delegations. I see Norway.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for giving us the floor. Trang An is a site of immense natural beauty, providing its visitors with incomparable impressions and memories. Geologically and archaeologically, the area is a gem, but it's also the home of around 14,000 people, today living in a landscape which has seen continuous human occupation and utilization for more than 30,000 years. Today, the property is seeing a use without precedent, with an estimated 3.5 million tourists coming to the site in 2020. Once a sustainable use, where visitors were conveyed through the landscape in traditional sampans rowed by local guides, we are deeply concerned by the fact that suggested measures to address overcrowding and carrying capacity seem to only facilitate increased tourism, not taking into account changes in traditional ways of life, identity, social cohesion in local communities and populations, as well as threats to the natural values of the property. We encourage the State Party to observe paragraph 119 of the operational guidelines concerning sustainable use, and would encourage the State Party to consult the tools developed through the UNESCO World Heritage and Sustainable Tourism Programme. Norway supports the draft decision, including the request for a reactive monitoring mission, to ensure that Trang An continues to be an important economic factor for the local community, providing a supreme and sustainable natural and cultural experience to its guests. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I would pass the floor now to the delegation of China, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With the amendment on the draft decision 42-7B62, China would like to highlight the efforts made by the concerned state party to protect and conserve the World Heritage Site of Trang An Landscape Complex. China understands that the state party has been undertaking dialogue with the advisory bodies before and during this committee session. China also expresses its appreciation for the availability of the advisory bodies for several in-depth discussions before submitting this amendment. Through the dialogues, quite a number of clarifications were made, misunderstanding gone, and consensus reached. China recognizes the state party's commitment to the convention, as demonstrated in the complete dismantlement of the illegal walkway construction at Tai Ha Mountain, complements the state party's willingness to remove the temporary replica film set as advised. All of these demonstrate the state party's effort to implement the management plan Visitor Management Action Plan, Archaeological Management Action Plan, as well as important projects of archaeological and biological research. Considering that the State Party submitted a State of Conservation report at the end of 2017 with new measures to strengthen management, including tourism management, it would make sense if the committee allows more time to see the effect to these measures. China understands that the State Party is ready to invite reactive monitoring mission to provide advice for the implementation and upcoming revision of the property management plan before December of 2019 and to submit another State of Conservation report to World Heritage Center by December 1st, 2019. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Distinguished delegate of Uganda, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Having reviewed the draft decision 42-7B62 and its related documents, Uganda appreciates the efforts of the advisory bodies in monitoring the property. Uganda further recognizes the efforts of the State Party in responding to this committee's advices and those of the advisory bodies that are related to the previous committee decisions. Madam Chair, you realize that the demolition of the 1-kilometer concrete bridge was done, which was impacting on the visual values of the site. The review of the properties management plan plus the submission of the action plan on visitation has also been done. Madam Chair, this is an indication that the State Party is committed and therefore complying to the requirements put before it by this committee. In view of the above, therefore, Madam Chair, Uganda concurs with the amendments particularly made to paragraph 6 as proposed by China, Indonesia, Cuba, and Azerbaijan. I submit, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I would now pass the floor to the distinguished delegate of Indonesia. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Indonesia would like to comment on the work that has been taken by advisory bodies and note the recommendations conveyed to the State Party. We are of the view that the government of Vietnam at this point has done its utmost efforts to comply with the desired state of conservation of the property. The increase of the number of tourists to the site after inscription is a logical consequence, although State Party should anticipate the potential negative impacts of tourism to the OUV of the property. We commend the efforts that has been taken by the State Party to conserve the OUV, such as completed the dismantling of the illegally built concrete walkway at Chai Ha Mountain. The State Party has also stated its commitment to remove the temporary replica film set from the area. To keep up the positive progress, we encourage the State Party to continue to consult and work with advisory bodies and implement the necessary measures with state officials and other stakeholders to keep conserving the OUV of this site. We are also in the view that the proposed time frame requested by the State Party to submit an updated report on the state of conservation is sufficient enough to make more positive progress. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. Tanzania, you have the floor.
Madam Chair, United Republic of Tanzania commends the State Party of Vietnam for its commitment to protect and conserve the Trang An landscape despite an increased pressure of urban development and tourist development. Tanzania also commends the World Heritage Center and advisory body for a comprehensive draft decision. Madam Chair, Tanzania congratulates the State Party for taking concrete steps toward illegal construction. The dismantling of illegal built concrete walkway at Chai Han Mountain is an example. Tanzania notes with appreciation that the State Party has already taken measures to revise management plan, to prepare action plan for vegetation management and ecological heritage management. Madam Chair, delegation of Tanzania encouraged the state party to continue working with state secretariat and consultation advisory body to address challenge of the property. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I would pass the floor now to the delegation of Burkina Faso. Please, you have the floor.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Ma délégation appuie les propositions faites par la Chine, l'Ouganda et la Tanzanie pour les raisons suivantes. Premièrement, il y a les efforts considérables déployés par l'État partie pour la conservation du bien et pour limiter également les difficultés de gestion et les impacts réels ou supposés des pressions sur le bien. Dans ce cadre, l'État partie a travaillé et continue de travailler en collaboration avec les experts du Centre du patrimoine mondial et les organisations consultatives pour élaborer le plan de gestion, assurer son application et aux besoins son ajustement. Et face à l'augmentation du nombre de visiteurs, l'une des mesures prises par l'État partie a consisté à la mise en œuvre d'une série de mesures allant jusqu'à la fixation de quotas journaliers et mensuels et la réalisation d'études sur l'impact du tourisme. Ces mêmes études permettent, Madame la Présidente, de mesurer les menaces et de prendre en charge les prendre en charge en vue d'une préservation de la VIE du site. À ces efforts s'ajoute la disponibilité de l'État partie, comme il l'a souligné à plusieurs reprises, à développer un dialogue constructif et à maintenir une coopération étroite avec tous les acteurs sur le nouveau plan de gestion et s'engage également à lever tout ce qui n'est pas approprié à la conservation du bien. De ce qui précède, Madame la Présidente, nous encourageons l'État partie dans ses efforts et recommandons au Centre du patrimoine de lui donner un délai supplémentaire pour poursuivre avec les mesures de conservation et soumettre un rapport complet sur les bonnes intentions et sa disponibilité à agir pour le mieux. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. I would now pass the floor to Cuba. Con la palabra, Cuba.
Muchas gracias, señora Presidenta, por la gentileza. En el caso de Cuba, queremos en primer lugar agradecer la información brindada, en primer lugar, la capacidad de organización y de colaboración tanto de la Secretaría como de los órganos consultivos, tanto y como IUCN, que nos facilitaron mucho más información para poder tener digamos, los elementos a la hora de valorar esta decisión. En tal sentido, y también reconociendo los esfuerzos que ha venido haciendo el Estado parte, estamos apoyando una modificación al proyecto de decisión cuya esencia es realmente hacerlo más factibles en términos del cumplimiento de los requerimientos que se le piden al Estado parte, pero que mantiene la vigencia y la preocupación del comité vinculado con temas que tienen que ver con las presiones generadas por el turismo en un sitio como este. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. I would like to pass the floor to the delegation of Azerbaijan. Thank you.
Yeah. According to the evaluation and report of the advisory bodies, factors affecting the property are following. First of all, the management system, and the second one is the tourism impacts. State party already take into attention these issues and updated management systems. Priority was given to conservation of natural, agricultural landscape, archaeological sites, architectural monuments, traditional villages, and intangible cultural heritage values. We welcome the efforts of State party to dismantle the illegally built concrete walkway, and State party has no intention to construct new university in Baidien's area. At the same time, State party already stopped the new construction of the tourism facilities. The buffer zone remains fully effective in safeguarding of the outstanding universal value and integrity of the property. The recent rise in visitors' numbers have been accompanied by monitoring and study of environmental and social pressures. The environmental, social, and management carrying capacity of the property have been carefully calculated and projected into the future, and strict limits have been placed on the maximum numbers of visitors in the property, both on daily and annual basis. All recent studies demonstrated that no adverse impact from visitors on the outstanding universal value of the property have occurred and to date, and none is expected in the foreseeable future. We support the decision that state party invite joint monitoring mission of advisory bodies and World Heritage Center. At the same time, state party should closely cooperate with the World Heritage Center and keep the recommendation of advisory bodies. We fully support amendments by China. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I would like now to close the list with Spain, Australia, and Angola. But I would, however, ask you to be as brief as you can, because we have a long agenda still ahead of us, and time is running very fast. Thank you. Australia, you have the floor. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, we'll be very brief and just say that we applaud the State Party for removing the concrete platform and for what we thought was a very comprehensive SOC report that was submitted in 2017. And we support the ongoing dialogue that the State Party has been having with the advisory bodies and the great advice that the advisory bodies can give. I think I just would like to note that these pressures from tourism and the need for adequate planning and management of the impacts of increasing tourism numbers are something that we all share in all of our World Heritage sites, and so the bringing together for as much information about it and tools as alluded to by our friends from Norway is what we all need to be doing, and supporting the state parties, especially in places such as Vietnam. So we would want to say that we support the draft decision with the amendments that are provided by China. We have one small further amendment that we'd like to make to paragraph 9, which we can discuss in a minute. Thank you.
Thank you. Delegação de Angola, com a palavra. La délégation d'Angola, s'il vous plaît. Merci.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Nous joignons notre voix à tous ceux qui nous ont précédés, et comme le temps nous est cher, nous aimerions tout simplement faire référence aux observations qui ont été faites d'une manière globale, une appréciation positive des organes consultatifs et la sensibilité du gouvernement pour un bien qui vient d'être inscrit il y a 4 ans et qui prend des mesures rigoureuses pour pouvoir préserver la valeur universelle du bien. Et nous appuyons le projet de décision qui est présenté par la Chine.
Muito obrigado, merci beaucoup. Spain, you have the floor.
Gracias, señora presidenta. Simplemente, siendo muy breve, felicitar al Estado parte por las medidas tomadas con tanta eficacia, felicitar a los órganos consultivos por la labor realizada en este caso y decir que este es el ejemplo y la esencia de la Convención. El espíritu de la Convención lo vemos en este caso y, por supuesto, que apoyamos la propuesta de declaración con las enmiendas presentadas.
Muchísimas gracias. Thank you very much. My dear colleagues, I now invite you to adopt the draft decision 2042.com 7B62. And in this direction, I would like to pass the floor to our rapporteur to show the text, because I understand that there is a minor amendment that will be proposed. Let's hope it is proposed. After the amendment is shown, since, as I understand, there is wide consensus about the text, I would like you to ask the floor only if you don't agree with the proposal made that will be presented by Australia. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So I have received amendments from Azerbaijan, China, Cuba, Indonesia, and Burkina Faso to this draft decision. As you can see it on the screen, the amendments touch several paragraphs notably, there are small changes in paragraph 4, 5, parts of paragraph 6 are deleted, and we also have minor modification to paragraph 7, 8, 9, and 10, well, basically all of them. Regarding paragraph 9, Australia has already flagged that they wish to make an amendment. And I would just like to point out that in the last paragraph, we will postpone the examination of this property from the 43rd session to the 44th session of the World Heritage Committee. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Australia, you have the floor, please. Thank you.
It's just a very minor point, paragraph 9, if we can have it. I would think it's probably sensible to remove the text upcoming revision. It's assumed that a revision is happening and it's tied to the reactive monitoring mission. So it's just upcoming. It's not, doesn't have a date or a time frame on it. Simply to tidy it.
Sorry, what is the amendment? Sorry.
Simply to remove the text upcoming. They have it on the screen now.
Thank you very much. I believe that, I don't know if there is any delegation against this. The rapporteur, however, has a comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and I apologize for taking the floor. I wanted to wait with this comment because I thought that maybe the distinguished delegation of Australia also wanted to flag the same thing that I wanted. For paragraph 9, I would like to make a small suggestion as regards to the wording. Right now it reads, requests furthermore the state party to invite the joint World Heritage Center ICOMOS IUCN reactive monitoring mission to the property to provide advice for the implementation of the property management plan with the addition of Australia. And instead I would like to propose that it reads that the reactive monitoring mission to the property to review the implementation of the property management plan. So instead of to provide advice, I wish to propose the wording to review, which seems more in line with the reactive monitoring mission. So thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Is there any objection to the amendments proposed? I see none. I therefore, sorry?
Yes, I'm sorry for this late intervention, Madam Chair, but both IUCN and ICOMOS believe that would significantly change the meaning of this paragraph. The basis of the very productive discussions that have been held with the state party and delegates from China agreed that the mission would be held to provide advice that would contribute to the revision of the plan, not to review its implementation. They're quite different things, Madam Chair. So I believe that we need to either keep the words as they were, or if we're going to change the syntax, retain the notion that the purpose of the mission is to contribute collaboratively to the revision of the property management plan. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, and I thank very much the distinguished representative of the advisory body for this explanation. Then, of course, I will withdraw my comment, and we can stick with the original formulation of the reactive monitoring mission providing advice. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think we can now move to the adoption. I see no more comments, so I declare draft decision 42 COM 7B 62 adopted as amended. Thank you very much. My dear colleagues, I now invite Mrs. Hayashi to read the list of the mixed properties inscribed on the World Heritage List located in the Asia-Pacific States region, for which the reports are proposed for adoption without discussion. You have the floor, Mrs. Hayashi.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. So there is only one property in this category, which is Tasmanian wilderness in Australia, and the decision number corresponding is 42 COM7B 61. Thank you, Madam Chairperson.
Thank you very much. If there is no objection from the committee on this state of conservation report, I declare the decision read out adopted. I would like to ask whether any observer delegation would like to express themselves about the property for which we have adopted the decision without discussion. None. I see none. Let's proceed. Thank you. My dear colleagues, no mixed properties inscribed on the World Heritage List and located in Latin America and the Caribbean region is proposed for discussion during this year. I will therefore invite Mr. Mauro Rossi, Chief of the Latin American and Caribbean Unit of the World Heritage Center, to read the list of the properties for which the reports are proposed for adoption without discussion. You have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The only mixed property inscribed on the World Heritage List and located in the Latin America and the Caribbean region, for which the report is proposed for adoption without discussion, is the ancient Maya city and protected tropical forest of Calakmul, Campeche, Mexico. Decision 42 COM7B 63. Thank you, Madam Chair.
If there is no objection from the committee on the State of Conservation report, I declare the decision read out adopted. I would now like to ask whether any observer delegation would like to express themselves. I see none. Let's proceed. My dear colleagues, no mixed properties inscribed on the World Heritage List and located in the African region is proposed for discussion this year. I will therefore invite Mr. Edmond Mukala, Chief of the Africa Unit of the World Heritage Center, to read the list of the properties for which the reports are proposed for adoption without discussion. You have the floor, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. The list will read as follows. Enedi Massif Natural and Cultural Landscape, Chad, and Cliffs of Bandiagara, Land of Dogons in Mali. Thank you, Madam Chairperson.
Thank you very much. If there is no objection from the committee on this state of conservation report, I declare the decision read out adopted. Thank you very much. I would now like to ask whether any observer delegation would like to express themselves about one of the properties for which we have adopted a decision without discussion. I see none. Let's proceed. Thank you. No mixed properties inscribed on the World Heritage List and located in the Arab States region is proposed for discussion this year. I will therefore invite Mrs. Nada Al-Hassam, Chief of the Arab States Union of the World Heritage Center, to read the list of properties for which the reports are proposed for adoption without discussion. You have the floor, please. Thank you.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Ces sites sont les Awar du sud de l'Irak, refuge de biodiversité et paysages reliques des villes mésopotamiennes en Irak, et la zone protégée de Wadi Rum en Jordanie. Merci.
Thank you very much. If there is no objection from the committee on this state of conservation report, I declare the decision read out adopted. I would now like to ask whether any observer delegation would like to express themselves about one of the properties which we have adopted the decision without discussion. I see none. Thank you very much, and we shall proceed. Thank you. I now invite Mr. Feng Jin to read the list of the natural properties inscribed on the list of World Heritage located in the Asia-Pacific States region, for which the reports are proposed for adoption without discussion. Please, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. These natural heritage properties include Keoladeo National Park in India, draft decision 42-7B68. The next site, Western Tian Shan, located in Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Uzbekistan, draft decision 42-7B69. And finally, the site called Sagarmatha National Park in Nepal, draft decision 42-7B70. Thank you, Madam Chairperson.
Thank you. If there is no objection from the committee on this state of conservation report, I declare the decision read out adopted. I see none. Adopted. I would like now to ask whether any observer delegation would like to express themselves about one of the properties for which we have adopted the decisions without discussion. I see none. Thank you very much. We shall then proceed. Thank you very much. My dear colleagues, I now invite Mrs. Isabelle Anatole Gabriel to read the list of the natural properties inscribed on the World Heritage List located in the Europe and North America region, for which the reports are proposed for adoption without discussion. You have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. The list of the properties for the Europe and North America region which are proposed to the committee for adoption without discussion is the following: ancient and primeval beech forest of the Carpathians and other regions of Europe, from Albania, Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, Croatia, Germany, Italy, Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, and Ukraine. Grossmore National Park, Canada. Madam Chairperson, the draft decision 42-7B73 is proposed for adoption to the committee with a slight correction in paragraph 8 in order to reflect a clarification on the state of conservation report submitted to the World Heritage Center on IUCN. Yes, thank you. The last part of the sentence is erased in full agreement with the state party, IUCN, and the World Heritage Center. Tourism is not a threat in the property, as is the extractive industry. So the correction reflects this. I follow on the list. Plivice Lake National Park, Golden Mountains of the Altai, Plivice Lakes National Park from Croatia, Golden Mountains of Altai, Russian Federation, Lake Baikal, Russian Federation, Natural System of Wrangel Island Reserve, Russian Federation, Virgin Komi Forest, Russian Federation, Volcanoes of Kamchatka, Russian Federation, Western Caucasus, Russian Federation, Gulf and Inaccessible Islands, United Kingdom of Great Britain on Northern Ireland, Grand Canyon National Park, United States of America. Madam Chairperson, again, the draft decision 42.7b 82 is proposed for adoption to the committee with a slight correction that reflects a clarification from the state party of United States of America that was received after the publication of the report. In the paragraph 5, the second part of the sentence is erased, again, since there is no jurisdiction above the Navajo Nation, which is fully sovereign on its territory. This modification, Madam Chairperson, is in agreement with the State Party, IUCN, and the World Heritage Center. Thank you, Madam Chairperson.
Thank you very much. If there is no objection from the committee on this State of Conservation report, I declare the decision read out adopted with the minor corrections proposed by the Secretariat. Adopt. It's adopted. I would now like to ask whether any observer delegation would like to express themselves. Yes? Please, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So on behalf of Greenpeace Russia and WWF Russia, I would like to draw the attention of the distinguished members of the World Heritage Committee to the situation with Western Caucasus and Virgin Komi Forests World Heritage properties that are located in the Russian Federation. The decisions on these areas have just been adopted without discussion. As reflected in the decisions, the outstanding universal values of these properties are threatened by the planned development on them or near their boundaries by major economic projects. So, on the territory of the Western Caucasus property and directly on its boundary, the large-scale construction of large-scale resorts is planned. For this purpose, the legislation has been amended in Russia, and land plots on the border of the property have been leased for rent. It is noteworthy that one of the resorts is planned to be built on the Grushevo Ridge, a unique territory on the boundary of the property, where the construction of Olympic facilities was planned prior to the Olympic Games in Sochi in 2014, but under threat of inscribing it into the World Heritage Endangered list, personally, the existing president of the country at that time ordered to move all the facilities from this territory. Also, the Ministry for Caucasus Affairs plans to build the Kislovodsk-Sochi highway, all variants of which pass exactly through the property. So the Russian authorities also didn't abandon the plans for gold mining within the boundaries of the Virgin Komi Forest property. Despite the repeated demands of the committee and the decisions of the higher Russian courts, the license to develop the Chudnya gold ore field within the boundaries of the facility is still not reversed. Instead, its operation has been extended, and the Ministry of Natural Resources and Ecology of Russia continues to insist on the fact that this issue with the field is not regulated. So we believe that for both sides, there is a potential threat to their outstanding universal value, which is the basis for inscribing them into the World Heritage Endangered list. We ask the committee to pay attention to these properties and to take measures provided by the Convention to prevent their destruction. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. I would now like to pass the floor to the delegation of Mongolia. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Dear committee members, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, my delegation wishes to express our sincere appreciation to the Kingdom of Bahrain for hosting 42nd session of the World Heritage Committee. We also like to thank the World Heritage Center for excellent organization of this session. With regards to the decision on the conservation of Lake Baikal 7v76, the State Party of Mongolia would like to briefly inform member states on the recent progress on the transboundary water issue. Indeed, the government of Mongolia acknowledges the significance of OUV of Lake Baikal. Considering the Mongolia's high degree of vulnerability to climate change adversities and its commitments to the implementation of the Paris Agreement on climate change, it urges the country to take relevant measures to protect its water resources and increase the share of sustainable energy sources. This aligned with the global SDGs targets as well. Mongolia aims to increase the share of renewable energy up to 20% by 2020 and 30% by 2030, as it has a great potential to develop a hydropower energy system to substantially reduce greenhouse gas emissions. In addition, the construction of water reservoirs will protect the rivers and streams from frequent drought due to global warming and drastic temperature fluctuation, prevent flood caused by snow peak glaciers and permafrost melting, and ensure sustainable management for proper water use and storage. In relation to the Section 11 of Decision 7v76, Mongolia has initiated to conduct the regional environmental assessment in Selengeri River Basin and Lake Baikal. Accordingly to terms of reference for regional environmental assessment and environmental social impact assessment for Orkhon and Shuren projects were drafted. Draft TORs were publicly consulted at 14 locations in the Russian Federation and 19 locations in Mongolia in 2017. For additional comments from the related stakeholders and interested parties, the draft terms of reference and other related documents are made publicly available for immediate completion. Mongolia strives to engage actively in effective cooperation with the Russian Federation. There have been well-established transboundary cooperation mechanisms and annual organized bilateral intergovernmental meetings for the past decades. Therefore, the State Party of Mongolia appreciates the Secretariat that the draft decision acknowledges the established cooperation between two countries. Last but not least, the State Party of Mongolia would like to express its sincere gratitude to the State Party of the Russian Federation for its support and engagement in the bilateral collaboration. I thank you.
Thank you very much. I now invite Mr. Mauro Rossi to read the list of the properties for which the reports are proposed for adoption without discussion. Please, Mr. Rossi, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the natural properties of the Latin American and Caribbean region, for which the reports are proposed for adoption without discussion, are the following. Iguazu National Park, Argentina. Iguazu National Park, Brazil. Galapagos Islands, Ecuador. Islands and protected areas of the Gulf of California, Mexico. Coiba National Park and the Special Zone for Marine Protection, Panama. And Piton Management Area, St. Lucia. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. If there is no objection from the committee on the State of Conservation report, we could move to declare the decision read out adopted. Is there any comment?
There is an NGO up there. No, Brazil.
Brazil, delegation of Brazil has the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. In regard to the decisions number 83 and 84, Brazil would like to point out that the two Iguazu sites are individually protected. Each on its own rights and OUVs. Therefore, Brazil would like to ask that future decisions and draft decisions avoid the use of the term transboundary in any paragraphs that refer to both sides. Brazil favors the use of the term bilateral in such situations. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I think the Secretariat has taken note of your comments. I understand that there is an NGO who wants to take the floor. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Gracias, señora presidenta. Distinguidos miembros del comité, países partes y demás asistentes, soy un ciudadano orgulloso de México y hago esta intervención en nombre del Centro para la Diversidad Biológica, el Instituto de Bienestar Animal y el Consejo de la Defensa de los Recursos Naturales. Agradecemos al Centro de Patrimonio Mundial y a la IUCN por realizar 2 misiones a México para evaluar el estado del sitio de Patrimonio Mundial, islas y áreas protegidas del Golfo de California. Estamos de acuerdo con muchas de las conclusiones y recomendaciones contenidas en los informes. Sin embargo, la recomendación de posponer la designación de este sitio como en peligro hasta el 2019 ha sido un error. También es desafortunado que este sitio no haya sido discutido en esta reunión, dado el estado crítico de la vaquita marina, la especie de cetáceo más amenazado del planeta, y uno de los valores universales excepcionales que llevaron a la designación de este sitio en 2005. Quedan menos de 30 vaquitas en el planeta, tal vez 15, y su principal amenaza siguen siendo las redes usadas para la pesca ilegal y el tráfico de la vejiga natatoria del pez totuaba, otro valor universal excepcional. Es por ello que este sitio merecía una discusión en esta reunión. La única opción que queda para salvar a esta especie, tal como lo señala el informe de la misión reactiva del 2018, es detener la pesca ilegal, algo que el Gobierno de México todavía no ha logrado. El estado actual de la vaquita marina es el producto de décadas de errores, decisiones fallidas y promesas incumplidas. Esta especie se puede salvar, pero México, otros estados y varias organizaciones internacionales, incluyendo este comité, deben tener la voluntad de ser parte de un esfuerzo exitoso de recuperación, o la vaquita marina podría extinguirse para siempre. Mis colegas y yo esperamos trabajar con la UNESCO y la IUCN y los miembros del comité para garantizar que en el 2019 la vaquita y su único hábitat se inscriban como en peligro, como un componente crítico de recuperación. Gracias.
Thank you very much. Thank you. After the adoption of the decision on the properties for which the reports were proposed without discussion, we now move to our next item on the agenda, 7B, and to start with the examination of the natural properties in the Africa region, I would like to give the floor to the delegation of the Zimbabwe to present to the committee the reason why it requested to open the State of Conservation report on Dja Wildlife Reserve. Thank you very much. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We requested the opening of the Dja Wildlife Reserve because the draft decision, the state party felt the draft decision was harsh, it was not encouraging, it did not recognize the efforts that the state party had made in terms of addressing previous committee decisions and recommendations of several missions. We have therefore, we therefore have a draft amendment to the decision which will be introduced by Burkina Faso, but we would also like to request that the state party be given the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to pass the floor to the delegation of Burkina Faso. You have the floor. Thank you.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Ma délégation remercie le Centre du patrimoine et les organisations consultatives pour le rapport concernant l'état de conservation de la réserve de faune du Dja, bien inscrit sur la liste du patrimoine mondial en 1987, suivant les critères 9 et 10. Les recommandations reformulées par le Comité du patrimoine mondial au sujet de la conservation de la valeur universelle exceptionnelle du bien, réserve de faune du Dja, sont pertinentes au regard des préoccupations exprimées et qui portent notamment sur la présence des grands projets structurants autour de la réserve, notamment la construction du barrage hydroélectrique de Méquin, la mise en place de la plantation agro-industrielle sud et vers Cameroun, la mise en œuvre insuffisante des plans de gestion environnementale sociale de certains projets, la nécessité de mener une évaluation environnementale et sociale stratégique prenant en compte tous les projets structurants autour du bien et les menaces exercées par le braconnage et la déforestation autour du bien. Madame la Présidente, toutes ces préoccupations, l'État partie les partage et c'est pour cela qu'avec l'appui de ses partenaires techniques et financiers, il s'est engagé dans la prise de mesures et la réalisation de certaines activités. En ce qui concerne le projet de la Société de développement hydroélectrique de Méquin, il a élaboré un plan de sauvetage de la faune, procédé à la relocalisation des populations affectées par le dit projet et leur indemnisation effective, engagé un programme de sauvetage des sites archéologiques et développé des activités génératives de revenus au profit des riverains. S'agissant du projet agro-industriel d'EVA, la superficie de la nouvelle concession a été réduite de 30 409 hectares à 13 000 hectares pour tenir compte des couloirs de migration de la faune et de l'espace agroforestier au profit des populations riveraines. Et le projet de construction de l'usine de traitement de la Tesse au centre de la concession a fait l'objet d'une étude d'impact environnemental et social. Quant à la lutte anti-braconnage et le suivi écologique du bien, les efforts de patrouille consentis ont permis d'améliorer le taux de couverture du bien à au moins 90% de nombreuses saisies ont été effectuées, parmi lesquelles la saisie de 216 défenses d'éléphants en décembre 2017. Des observations récentes montrent une grande présence de la faune dans sa diversité, confirmant la préservation de l'intégrité du bien. L'État partie mène actuellement une évaluation environnementale, sociale et stratégique des projets structurants autour du bien, en vue d'évaluer les impacts cumulatifs des dits projets afin d'atténuer les effets négatifs. Madame la Présidente, toutes ces mesures et activités démontrent une volonté de l'État partie qui mérite d'être reconnue. Cette dynamique de coopération doit être encouragée. Aussi, le projet de décision nous paraît-il très pessimiste comparé aux efforts déployés par l'État partie. C'est pourquoi ma délégation souhaite que le projet de décision 42 comme 7B90 soit reformulé d'une manière encourageante en faveur de l'État partie. À cet effet, mon pays a introduit un projet d'amendement au projet de décision 42 comme 7B90. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. I would now pass the floor to the delegation of Cameroon, asking you, however, to be as concise, as brief as possible once we are running out of time to analyze a long agenda. Please, you have the floor.
OK. Merci, Madame la Présidente. Merci surtout pour cette opportunité que vous offrez à la délégation camerounaise et nous en rendons grâce à la présidence de cette session. Nous voulons effectivement appuyer sur ce que vient de dire le représentant du Burkina Faso pour mettre en évidence les efforts considérables que le gouvernement camerounais a déployés, notamment pour renforcer la surveillance de la réserve de la faune du Dja, la mise en place des caméras pièges pour capter la présence de la faune et des braconniers à l'intérieur du bien, pour renforcer les capacités des éco-gardes au suivi écologique et à l'utilisation de nouveaux outils de surveillance, mais également pour accroître la capacité ou les capacités techniques des matériels des éco-gardes. Nous insistons sur le fait que nous avons amené à la réduction 47% de la superficie de la concession provisoire du projet agro-industriel Sud-Cameroun EVA, situé au voisinage du bien, c'est-à-dire à sa périphérie, mais pas à l'intérieur du bien. Nous signalons également que la saisie de 200 pointes d'ivoire en décembre 2017 est révélatrice de la vigilance constante, permanente des autorités camerounaises par rapport à un phénomène qui en fait concerne pas seulement la réserve du Dja, mais les pays voisins, les forêts autour de la réserve du Dja, mais de pays voisins. Donc il ne s'agit pas de saisie qui révèle une très forte pression de braconnage sur notre réserve. Au regard de cela, il y a un certain nombre de mesures qui ont également été prises par rapport à l'évaluation environnementale et sociale et stratégique, conforme aux standards internationaux appliqués au bien du patrimoine mondial en cours de financement par l'État camerounais, et une mission de conseil à l'initiative de l'UNESCO est en cours pour évaluer le projet agro-industriel à proximité du bien. Nous concluons donc en souhaitant, au regard des efforts faits et des progrès tangibles enregistrés, que le comité de patrimoine mondial encourage le gouvernement camerounais, lui manifeste son soutien en levant la menace d'inscription du bien sur la liste du patrimoine mondial en péril. Merci.
Merci infiniment. I would now like to pass the floor to Angola with a reiteration of my request of concisão, por favor. Obrigada.
Madame la Présidente, merci. Depuis Istanbul, l'Angola faisait partie des pays du comité qui avaient demandé qu'on donne à l'État partie une prolongation de 2 ans pour pouvoir améliorer la situation sur le terrain. Et là, nous sommes face à un exercice positif. Des efforts ont été faits pendant les 2 ans et les organisations consultatives le reconnaissent évidemment. Et nous reconnaissons également que l'État partie montre sa profonde volonté de continuer à travailler dans le sens d'améliorer davantage la situation sur le terrain. Donc nous encourageons l'État partie de continuer à travailler avec l'IUCN et le Centre du patrimoine mondial dans le sens d'améliorer davantage la situation et que ces sites puissent continuer donc à être maintenus sur la liste du patrimoine mondial. Donc avec le Burkina, nous avons soumis quelques amendements au projet de décision. Je vous remercie.
Merci beaucoup. I would now invite Mr. Guy Debony and the advisory bodies to respond to the comments so far presented. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The World Heritage Center would like to note that the further extension of the Sud-Camhevea plantation remains of serious concern. As you can see from the map on the screen, the yellow area is the yellow striped area is the plantation. This plantation is on the boundary of the property and results in massive deforestation of forests, which are important for the integrity of the property and also harbor important biodiversity, including great apes. And as mentioned in the decision, no EIA has yet been submitted to the World Heritage Center. We also know the negative impact of the Mekin Dam on the property, as it has already flooded some part of the reserve and will also affect the ecology of the Dja River. So in summary, we recognize, of course, the important efforts by the State Party, and we are working together with the State Party on a number of issues, including the advisory mission, which was ministered by His Excellency, the Minister. But these areas remain of high concern, and that is why we expressed these concerns in the decision. Thank you.
Please go ahead.
Merci Madame la Présidente. L'IUCN aimerait tout d'abord remercier l'État partie pour le temps qu'elle nous a accordé ici à Bahreïn pour nous expliquer, pour nous donner plus d'informations sur les efforts qu'elle a consentis. Nous sommes d'accord avec les commentaires fournis par le Centre du patrimoine mondial. Nous apprécions l'intention des amendements qui sont devant le comité Notons toutefois que la saisie de 200 points d'ivoire, bien que ça témoigne de la vigilance de l'État partie, ça met également en exergue la pression du braconnage. Et donc, l'IUCN aimerait proposer que le comité exprime quand même sa préoccupation quant à la pression du braconnage sur le bien et note également avec satisfaction les efforts consentis par l'État partie pour adresser cette situation. En ce qui concerne l'extension de la concession du projet agro-industriel d'EVA et les impacts négatifs causés par la mise en eau partielle du barrage des Méquins, nous considérons également qu'il conviendrait que le comité exprime sa préoccupation quant à ces développements tout en reconnaissant la volonté de l'État partie de trouver des solutions. Merci, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you very much. My dear colleagues, after listening to the comments of the advisory bodies and to the comments of the member states, I now invite you to adopt the draft decision 42 COM Australia. Oh, you have we have more comments. Thank you so much. Go ahead, but please be as concise as possible. Thank you.
Madam Chair, it would be extremely helpful to all committee members if we had the benefit of seeing an English language version of the amendments, which has not been circulated. So at the very least, we ask that the amendments be put up on the screen so that we have the opportunity to actually consider what is proposed.
Please, I will pass the floor to the rapporteur who will react to your comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I have received amendments to this item from Burkina Faso and Angola, which you will now see on the screen. And as I understand that these have been circulated rather late and only in the French version, I will try to quickly present them to the committee members. So in the proposed draft decision with the amendments, paragraph 1 to 3 would remain unchanged. And then in paragraph 4, there's a small proposal so that the committee notes with satisfaction rather than concern the seizure of 216 ivory tusks. Then paragraph 5 would remain unchanged. And then we have a redrafted paragraph 6, which would read, also takes note of the extension of the rubber agro-industrial project and requests the state party to submit the environmental and social impact assessment to the international standards applied to the World Heritage properties. Then, moving on to paragraph 7, it is also slightly amended, so I'm going to read it out. Paragraph 7 would read, further takes note of the efforts of the state party in view of limiting the negative impacts on the local communities, their plantations, and on the forestry ecosystem due to the partial impoundment of the Mekin Dam, and requests the state party to continue to implement the environmental and social management plan and to pursue the relocation plan of local communities affected by the impoundment, full stop. Then paragraph 8 would remain unchanged. And then we have a slightly redrafted paragraph 9, which would read, also takes note of the willingness of the state party to welcome an advisory mission to assess the impacts of the agro-industrial projects on the property and to continue to closely collaborate with the World Heritage Center and IUCN in the implementation of the recommendations, enabling the state party to undertake the necessary corrective measures to limit the impacts on its OUV. And then finally, in paragraph 10, we have a proposal to delete the last part so that it would read, further request the state party to submit to the World Heritage Center by 1st of February 2019 an updated report on the state of conservation of the property and the implementation of the above for examination by the World Heritage Committee at its 43rd session in 2019, full stop. These are all the amendments we received. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I would ask the delegation of Australia if the delegation would be satisfied with the text just shown. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I think I need to make an overarching observation into the way things have been unfolding in the committee over the past couple of days. I won't oppose the amendments that have been put forward. At the end, I may suggest one addition. But Australia is concerned at the pattern emerging in the committee whereby the substance of carefully considered draft decisions is being stripped out on what we see as the misplaced grounds that to criticise or even to provide guidance to a state party is somehow disrespectful to the state party whose property is under scrutiny. And I must ask my distinguished colleagues, how is the committee to provide clear direction to a state party on difficult matters imbued with the sense of urgency and gravity of circumstance that is required if we are not able to use words that accurately express what is known and what is needed? If we're disappointed with the actions of a state party, we should be freely able to say so, not engaged in acts of self-censorship because we fear causing offence. I've not seen anything in the language of the draft decisions that could cause offence. Discomfort, yes, but offence, certainly not. It's the role of the committee to call out actions that are inconsistent with states parties' obligations to protect sites of outstanding universal value, for which they are the custodians, just as it is our role to work constructively with states parties through the centre and advisory bodies to help them respond effectively to these concerns, and we need to find a balance. My deeper concern, however, is that in these proposals to water down and strip out the substance of decisions, we collectively are not fulfilling the responsibilities entrusted to us by our fellow states parties to the Convention concerning the protection of the world cultural and natural heritage. We must think very carefully indeed about what this means for the credibility of the World Heritage Committee. The consequences may reverberate through the World Heritage system for years to come.
Thank you very much. Concerning the text we are analyzing right now, do you have any amendments at this point? I thank you very much. I would pass the floor now to the delegation of Uganda. Please be as brief as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Lady. Very quickly to the point, paragraph 6. The third line, I would like to add an omission. After ASEA, in the brackets, it should read, to the World Heritage Center, using the international standards applied to the World Heritage properties. Okay. And then paragraph 7, the second line at the end, cross out on, and so it should read, and associated forestry ecosystems. Yes. And associated forestry ecosystems. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Norway, you have the floor.
Madam Chair, thank you. We have before us a case that was opened very late into the committee session and the amendment also coming fairly late. We won't use the opportunity to ask for an adjournment of this debate in order to help the proceedings here. And I do agree that we should commend and encourage the states parties for their efforts. That being said, we fully support and share the concerns expressed by the distinguished representatives of Australia. Thank you.
Thank you. I understand that you have no amendments to suggest to this text. Is that right? Thank you very much. I would like to pass the floor to the delegation of Bahrain. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We also wanted to echo the intervention made by Australia, and I think it's very critical for us to, at certain stages, slow down and look at the paragraphs very thoroughly and make sure that any amendments won't have any repercussions in the future that would even complicate the matter even further with regards to conservation of any property listed on the World Heritage List. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. If there are then no comments, I now invite you to adopt the draft decision 42 COM 7B90 concerning the property. But before doing so, I would like to ask the rapporteur if she has received any amendments to this, any or other amendments to this decision.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have received small amendments from the floor from the delegation of Uganda, which are now reflected in the draft decision. So I submit to the consideration of the committee through you this amended decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other comment on the text? Any other observation? I see none. I therefore declare the draft decision 42 COM 7B90 adopted as amended. Thank you very much. My dear colleagues, I now invite Mr. Guy Debonnet to present the reports on the state of conservation of the natural properties located in the African region and opened for discussion. You have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. The next site is Lake Turkana National Park in Kenya. The report can be found in your working document 7B on page 195 of English version and 202 of the French version. The main threat to Lake Turkana remains changes in the water flow regime of the Omo River in Ethiopia, linked to the Gibe 3 Dam and the Kuras development project, which will draw on the Omo River for irrigation. In addition, the 2012 mission to the property and the 2015 mission to Gibe 3 Dam site had also noticed the possibility of two further dam projects on the Omo River, entitled Gibe 4 and Gibe 5. Following both the 2012 and 2015 missions, the World Heritage Center and IUCN expressed concern that the cumulative impacts of these developments were not assessed and that the existing environmental impact assessment for the Gibe 3 Dam was done after the project had already started and did not consider potential impacts on Lake Turkana in Kenya. On this basis, the World Heritage Center and IUCN recommended that the property be inscribed on the list of World Heritage in Danger at the committee's 36th, 37th and 38th sessions. However, the committee decided not to inscribe the property to the list in danger, but urged the state parties of Kenya and Ethiopia to address this issue on a bilateral basis and to conduct a strategic environmental assessment. The strategic environmental assessment is intended to assess the cumulative impacts of all developments impacting on Lake Turkana Basin in order to identify appropriate corrective measures to maintain the water level and seasonal variation of the lake, with a view to protect its outstanding universal value. In Decision 39-7B4, adopted in 2015, the committee strongly urged the state parties of Kenya and Ethiopia to ensure that the strategic environmental assessment be completed by 1st of February 2018. As of today, we regret to inform the committee that the strategic environmental assessment requested by the committee has not yet been commissioned, while terms of reference and arrangements for bilateral oversight of the process have been made. Meanwhile, the construction of the Gibe Dam has been completed, and the dam is moving into operation. The Kures sugar development project is also in an advanced stage. On the 13th of June 2018, Ethiopia submitted to the World Heritage Center an update on the status of the Gibe 3 dam impounding and Lake Turkana water levels, as well as supplementary information regarding the implementation of the Kures sugar development project. The data provided indicate changes in the seasonal variation of the water levels since the start of the filling of the dam in 2015, which appears to confirm the concerns expressed by the 2012 and 2015 missions, and reiterated in the 2018 State of Conservation report. As you can see from the graph, before the start of the impounding of the dam, there was a regular pattern of floodings in Lake Turkana, and this pattern has been completely disturbed since the dam impounding has started. The seasonal flooding regime of the lake creates a unique floodplain ecosystem and is extremely important to maintain the large mammal fauna in Sibeloy National Park, and crucial for the fragile ecology of the lake, and in particular its fish populations, which are also at the basis of the livelihoods of many local communities. In the continued absence of a strategic environmental assessment and the potential severe impacts of the Gibe 3 dam, the Kures sugar development project, and other associated developments that are underway, the World Heritage Center and IUCN consider that the conditions for potential danger to the properties OUV are met, in accordance with paragraph 180 of the operational guidelines. It is therefore recommended that this committee inscribes the property on the list of World Heritage in danger. Considering the continued critical situation, it is also recommended that the committee requests the State Party of Kenya to invite a joint World Heritage Center IUCN reactive monitoring mission to the property. The draft decision can be found in your working document on page 198 in English and 204 in French, and IUCN also has further comments on this property.
Please, IUCN, go ahead.
Madam Chair, in the interest of time, I think all of the issues have been already addressed by my colleague at the World Heritage Centre, and IUCN is fully in support of the matters raised. So I don't think at this point we wish to add substantively to what my colleague has said. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any comments on this topic? China, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The committee had asked the state parties Kenya and Ethiopia to carry out a joint strategic environment assessment. The study would have helped the committee to make an informed decision. And concerning the draft decision, since the paragraph 6 asks the state party to halt its development project, we should like to invite the state party to provide us sufficient information on the stage of development of the project and an update on the progresses in undertaking impact assessments. And moreover, as the lake is a transboundary lake found in the territories of Ethiopia and Kenya, the potential threats on both sides should be listed before the paragraph that decides to list the property in danger. Therefore, the decision under paragraph 8 should come at paragraph 10 instead of where it is now. All of the sources of threats should come before the decision paragraph. This is also consistent with the Euro trend followed by other decisions of the committee. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Uganda, you have the floor. Thank you.
Madam Chair, the delegation of Uganda appreciates and thanks the advisory bodies for their monitoring mission work. and the results and advices provided at this committee. Madam Chair, considering the issues and the evidence provided here in this room, my delegation sympathizes with Kenya. For as we watch, we see that some of the threats are not originally coming from the territory of Kenya. Kenya is in a very tricky situation, for the threats are external and they have no control over them in most cases. The above notwithstanding, Madam Chair, my delegation urges Kenya to explore all possible measures, including bilateral dialogues and the involvement of third-party arbitration to ensure the protection of the Lake Turkana Basin. Nevertheless, Madam Chair, for this basin to be saved, Uganda supports the draft decision that will facilitate Kenya to access possible financing mechanisms that will enable the state party to accomplish the work required of it as outlined in the draft decision. We submit, Chair.
Thank you very much. Tanzania, you have the floor.
Madam Chair, Tanzania appreciates the comprehensive review of the advisory bodies of the state of conservation of the property, which is currently experiencing multiple threats related to development projects since 2012. While acknowledging the complexity of the multiple proposed or ongoing projects and the impact thereof on the property, especially on the Lake Turkana greater ecosystem, we generally concur with the advisory body's analysis and conclusions. However, we do not see it feasible, both logistically and technically, to make it conditional for the state party of Kenya to engage on a fresh review of an already completed strategic environmental assessment for the LAPSET project as provided for in paragraph 9 of the draft decision. Accordingly, we have submitted minor amendments to the draft decision. And at this juncture, we also wish to strongly urge the state parties of Ethiopia and Kenya to continue engaging in friendly dialogue and consultations that will help resolve some of the outstanding transboundary related threats facing the property. I thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I would now like to pass the floor to the delegation of Tunisia. Thank you.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Je voudrais intervenir dans deux directions différentes. La première, pour soutenir l'amendement, parce qu'à nos yeux, il apporte une plus grande cohérence textuelle et une meilleure lisibilité du texte, et donc nous le soutenons dans cette direction. La délégation de Tunisie se félicite également de l'esprit dans lequel ce dossier est traité et qui nous ramène à une cohérence globale de la Convention, celle de ne pas voir, comme on l'a senti dans le traitement de certains dossiers, que le classement sur la liste en péril est perçu comme une sanction. Or, nous voyons aujourd'hui que c'est presque vertueux que d'aller vers cette direction, tant elle apporterait une meilleure protection et une sortie favorable dans la situation dans laquelle se trouve le site. C'est pour ces deux raisons que nous soutenons le texte et son amendement.
Thank you very much. Delegation of Hungary has the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. According to the understanding of the Hungarian delegation, the outstanding universal value of Lake Turkana National Parks in Kenya is influenced by a number of negative impacts. First of all, the Kura's development project in Ethiopia through the Gibe 3 dam, which has impacts on the natural water regime of Lake Turkana. Hungary is concerned about the fact that the necessary impact assessment procedures have not been conducted and completed before the Kuras development project becomes operational. And in this way, there was no chance to implement mitigation measures in advance as part of the development project. It is to be noted that there are other developments, Lapset and the Turkana wind farm project, as well as ongoing activities of unsustainable use of natural resources like poaching, overgrazing, and fishing, which all have negative influence on the outstanding universal value of the property. For this reason, the Hungarian delegation supports the inscription of Lake Turkana National Park on the World Heritage List in danger and encourages the state parties concerned to invite a joint World Heritage Center IUCN reactive monitoring mission to the property. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would pass the floor to the delegation of Zimbabwe. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Zimbabwe would like to thank the advisory bodies and the Center for a comprehensive report on the situation in Lake Turkana, and are grateful that the state party sees the benefit of being on the World Heritage List in danger. We urge the two state parties to continue dialogue bilaterally, but also within the East African community in order to find a solution to this problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would now like to pass the floor to the delegation of Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to share our views about the conservation of Lake Turkana National Park World Heritage Site. Kenya takes notes of the highlighted conservation issues in the synthesis of factors affecting Lake Turkana. Of the highlighted areas, I wish to state that the issue of oil exploration did not happen in Lake Turkana National Park, as the Tullow Oil Exploration Company had given a no-go commitment in the area of the park. I also wish to clarify that the issues of poaching and illegal livestock grazing at Lake Turkana Park is under control. In connection of this, several interventions have been made by Kenya to address water access problem by pastoralist communities in the Lake Turkana property vicinity. Madam President, I wish to inform you that the recommendation of 2012 and 2015 missions have been taken into consideration during preparation of Lake Turkana National Park's management plan, which was finalized early this year. The plan has designed corrective measures to arrest the problem of poaching, illegal grazing in the park, and other illegal access to the property. Madam President, it is Kenya's position that the outstanding activity for the sustainable management of Lake Turkana is the proposed CEA study, which will propose a more holistic approach to the sustainable management of Lake Turkana. Kenya believes that the amicable solution will be found on the issue of water resource under the UNEP-supported Transboundary Water Assessment Program. Several bilateral meetings have been held between the two state parties to agree on the modalities of conducting a strategic environmental assessment study. All documentation necessary to conduct the study have been done and shared with the World Heritage Center, except the pending identification of the most suitable consultant to carry out the study, mobilization of the funds, and the commissioning of the work. This has been occasioned by funding challenges. Kenya, therefore, calls for international support to conserve aquatic habitat of Lake Turkana National Park, as well as the future livelihoods of downstream communities who are estimated to be about 300,000 individuals. Kenya wishes to reiterate that it welcomes technical and financial assistance for sustainable management of the treasured heritage of Turkana World Heritage property through support of SEA study. Finally, Madam President, Kenya holds no reservation on the draft decision.
Thank you very much. My dear colleagues, as I invite you to adopt the draft decision 42 COM 7B 92 concerning the property. We have one more? Oh, I'm sorry, I haven't seen. Please, you have the floor. Thank you. But I would like to ask you, please, to be as concise as possible due to the pressure of time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A significant portion of the Lake Turkana is located in Ethiopia. The lake has several tributary rivers found in Ethiopia and Kenya. As a result, its conservation could be potentially affected by development activities in both countries. The State Party of Ethiopia reiterates its commitment to the conservation and the protection of the OUV of the Lake Turkana National Parks, a property which is transboundary in nature. In this regard, the State Party of Ethiopia and Kenya were engaged in joint efforts to undertake strategic environment assessment on the Lake Turkana National Parks. Accordingly, the two state parties have adopted a TOR for the consultant that will carry out the study, have established a joint panel of experts to oversee the work, and prepared a call for proposal. The study is not completed in the timeline set by the committee due to several challenges we are facing. Therefore, the State Party of Ethiopia requests the committee to give more time for the study before inscribing it in the list of World Heritage Sites in danger. The draft decision concludes the property is in danger due to development activities that are located only in Ethiopia, targeting only one side of the lake basin, while publicly available information indicates otherwise. Ethiopia finds paragraph 6 of the decision that asks Ethiopia to halt its development project inappropriate and untimely. The crushed sugar project is extremely behind schedule. Contrary to the plan, we managed to develop only 1/9 of the project. Further, it does not disrupt seasonal flow from Ethiopia to the lake. The draft decision undermines Ethiopia's efforts to balance development with preservation of the World Heritage Site. Therefore, Ethiopia would like to request to the esteemed committee to give more time for the joint effort of Ethiopia and Kenya to bear fruits. This would give incentive for the parties to finalize SIA in the required time frame. The State Party of Ethiopia believes that the completion of the study would provide with scientific data that would enable us to identify the impacts and the mitigation measures. I thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I would like now to declare the draft decision 42 adopt. However, before that, I would like to hear the rapporteur on any new amendments. And afterwards, we will pass the floor to the NGO according to our rules of procedure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. We have received an amendment from the delegation of Tanzania on this draft decision. And as you know, this property is proposed for inscription on the list of World Heritage in danger, and the proposal of Tanzania would not change this. So paragraph 9, with the amendments of Tanzania, would read, notes with concern that the Lamu Port South Sudan-Ethiopia Transport Corridor project may have potential impacts on the property's OUV, and requests the State Party of Kenya to conduct environmental and social impact assessment studies on specific projects of the LAPSET, clarifying how mitigation measures are implemented and monitored, full stop. Also, during our discussion, the distinguished delegation of China has flagged that they might want to move paragraph 8, which would inscribe this property on the list of World Heritage in danger, further down below to be the new paragraph 10, if I understood correctly. Yes. So we are going to reflect that now on the screen. And these are the amendments that we have right now, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. If there are no further comments, I therefore declare draft decision 42 COM 7B 92 adopted. Thank you. And I would now pass the floor to the NGO that requested to speak. Please, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. I'm again speaking on behalf of the World Heritage Watch Network. We commend the committee's decision to inscribe Lake Turkana Parks as the World Heritage Property in danger, because such inscription in this case is the last hope for preservation of this property through urgent implementation of a plan to achieve the desired state of conservation. The Lake Turkana has been degraded through long-term non-compliance with decisions of World Heritage Committee. The requirement that strategic environmental assessment should be carried out has been not fulfilled since 2012. And the recommendations to halt development was not implemented either. We therefore urge the committee to require or recommend that no further dams should be built on the river, especially considering the devastating effects on Lake Turkana documented in the report you adopted. And we also call to urge parties involved to respect right of local indigenous populations to participate and be consultant, provide their free, prior, informed consent in the consultations and planning related to in operations related to the World Heritage properties. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. As,
we have to do this.
Huh?
We have to do it.
My dear colleagues, I would now like to give the floor to the delegation of Zimbabwe to present to the committee the reason why it requested to open the State of Conservation Report on Cape Flora Region Protected Areas, South Africa. Excellency, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for giving me the floor. We have requested the opening of the Cape Flora region protected areas for discussion due to the recommendations that have been made after the wildfires and the water problems and the drought that the region has faced. There are some recommendations which are in fact not in line with what the state party has done in terms of mitigating this. There are recommendations related to movement of people and other areas. But I would like to request through you, Madam Chair, that you give the state party an opportunity to respond. We have also presented a draft decision to clarify those particular areas. Thank you.
Are there any comments on the statement just made by Zimbabwe? Sorry, the state party would like.
Thank you, Madam.
So, excuse me, just a second. The delegation of Azerbaijan requested the floor, so please. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. We would just like to mention 2 points which are reflected in the original draft decision, para number 7 and 8. First is identification of the lands to accommodate housing needs. And second, respectively, para 8, about the water extraction plans of the state party. So as we understand, these 2 paras were drafted based on the information given by certain stakeholders. But at the same time, we want to mention that we were informed by the state party that these 2 paras do not fully reflect their current reality on the ground. So as we mentioned earlier, in early days of the session, we still believe that any information provided before committee should be also go back and verified by the state party concerned as well. So in this regard, we also support the proposal of Zimbabwe to provide the floor for state party to give clarification on these 2 points. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Steve, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. The national state of disaster mentioned earlier, as declared in March 2018, lapsed on the 13th of June 2018, and our government announced that it will not be renewed. This decision was informed by an assessment conducted by the National Joint Drought Coordinating Committee, which showed that the acute phase of drought in the Western Cape in particular is at its end and now entering the resilience building phase. It should also be noted that the directive issued in terms of the National Environmental Management Act was only effective whilst the national state of disaster was in force. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I would like to invite Mr. Guy Debonnet and the advisory bodies to respond to those comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's IUCN who will provide the comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have had the opportunity to have a number of exchanges here with the State Party of South Africa. We understand the clarifications and concerns, and we are in support of those, and we are more than happy to address any questions that the committee may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we proceed to the approval of the draft decision, I would like to pass the floor to our rapporteur to explain the amendments received. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I have received amendments from the delegation of Zimbabwe, and I will now proceed to read them out clearly. So paragraph 1 through 6 would remain unchanged. And then we have a redrafted paragraph 7, which would now read, notes that through stakeholder engagement, the state party is working to identify land to address housing needs necessitated by a fire outbreak that affected communities in close proximity to the site, and urges the state party to inform the World Heritage Center of any major developments planned in the area in accordance with paragraph 172 of the operational guidelines. Then for paragraph 8, we also have some modifications, and it would now read, notes with concern the reported emergency plans for water extraction from the Table Mountain Group aquifer due to drought conditions in the Western Cape province, and also takes note of the declaration of the province as a national disaster area. Further notes that the reported emergency plans for water extraction may have potential impacts on the property's outstanding universal value. In the event that such plans are developed, urges the state party to assess the potential impacts on the OUV of the property and in all proposed areas adjacent to the property before deciding to go ahead with these plans, and inform the World Heritage Center of any major developments planned in accordance with paragraph 172 of the operational guidelines. And then paragraph 9 would remain unchanged. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I give the floor to Zimbabwe, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a minor amendment, bearing in mind what the Minister has just said. And this is on paragraph 8, where it says, and also takes note on the declaration of the province as a national disaster area, but to change it to say, and further notes that the province is no longer a national disaster area. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Australia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say that I think this is an excellent series of amendments, and Australia strongly supports them.
Thank you very much. If there are no more comments, Tanzania? Yes.
Thank
Tanzania,
you, Chair. Thank you,
please.
Chair. We also support the 2 amendments as submitted by Zimbabwe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think, yes, I therefore declare draft decision 42 COM 7B 94 adopted. Thank you. I now invite Mr. Mukala to read the list of the natural properties inscribed on the World Heritage List located in the Africa region, for which the reports are proposed for adoption without discussion. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. The list will read as this. Okavango Delta from Botswana. Yes, the Simen National Park of Ethiopia, Lake Malawi National Park, Malawi, the Rwenzori Mountains National Park of Uganda, the Serengeti National Park in the United Republic of Tanzania, and the Manapools National Park, Sapi and Chehwo Safari areas in Zimbabwe. Thank you, Madam Chairperson.
Thank you very much. If there is no objection from the committee on these state of conservation reports, I declare the decisions read out adopted. Thank you. I would now, before we close our session, to pass the floor to Mrs. Rossler, who will give us some orientation on a number of items. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Just to clarify, we have still open Socotra in Yemen. As we discussed at the Bureau, there is an agreed text between IUCN and the World Heritage Center. We will do that. We will find a time on Monday because you all know tomorrow we start at 3 o'clock the plenary session with the nominations, and we cannot change that. Now, I would also like to recall tomorrow morning there is no session. It's prayer time, and we start the budget group at 1:30 to 2:30, the budget group. The Bureau meeting 2:30 to 3:30, and 3 p.m. sharp we start with the nominations. You have a full agenda, as you know. And now, Madam Chair, I think Bahrain would like to make an announcement. Bahrain.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With regards to this special event tonight, which entails an invitation by Bahraini families for those of you who received invitations, invited delegates are kindly asked to use the buses provided by the organizers. For logistic reasons, arrival with a private car will not be possible. The delegates with an invitation from the Royal Palace by Her Royal Highness Princess Sabika should take number bus, which is the invitation that appears something like this. Delegates invited to houses number 2 to 8 should take the shuttle to the buses located on the other side of the hotel, which is an invitation that looks like this. Bus number 1 will depart at 7:15 from the Ritz-Carlton. Other buses will depart at 7:30, also from the Ritz-Carlton. Invitations are not transferable. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you all very much for your cooperation. Thank you, Meshtild. Thank you very much, and see you tomorrow in the afternoon. Thank you.